welcome to Everything Opposite Podcast, where we talk about stuff. Today, we have Aaron back.
I'm back, everybody. I'm back. I know you guys missed me. Show's not the same without me. I already know. Go ahead, Derek. Sorry.
But so I'm Derek. This is Aaron. And
Aaron, this is Derek.
And we also have a bonus person with us today, Miss Katelyn. How's it going?
Hey.
Woo! All right, yeah. So you said you were going to play the intro music. I just want to stop real quick and mention that I thought I was going to hear it, and I didn't, and it was really awkward for a minute.
I literally said it's going to be awkwardly quiet for a second because only I'm the one who's able to hear this since we're doing this remotely.
Well, right. And, well, that's another thing to touch on. We are doing this remotely because of Mexican beer 2020. I mean coronavirus. Same thing, right?
Mexican beer virus. I hear that's what they're calling it now. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Especially in the South, specifically in the South.
Yeah.
Or in Washington, D.C. or whatever.
Much more so in the rural areas.
Right. Yeah. No, see, you're a teacher. You know these things. And that's a good way to introduce that. Katelyn is, in fact, a teacher, which brings Derek to what this episode's about. Derek, tell the people.
So, yeah, Katelyn is a teacher and a mom, and we figured that'd be two very important topics to be covering during this whole coronavirus pandemic. So that's why I asked her to join us today.
Woohoo!
I'm also a mom. Kind of.
Yeah. You know. That's like the male version of a mom. It's called a dad.
Right. I identify as a mom, though.
All right.
So anyway, take it away, Derek. I don't know anything about teaching because, let's be honest, I'm probably the dumbest person in this conversation.
Yeah.
Wow,
fair.
Appreciate that. You don't know me, all right?
I do, and that's a very accurate statement.
That's fair, and that's my point. So go ahead, Derek, take it away, man.
All right, so I guess the first thing we kind of want to talk about was how's the transition going to teaching kids online instead of face-to-face?
So I guess I can say, like, I'm already very tech oriented. So a lot of my content I would teach with technology. So as far as the content, doing it in a digital format was not a new concept to me. However, it's a lot different not having the kids in my space, because I can't kind of, say, I think you need to, fix this, or if they're having trouble, I'm not there to actively help them. So, and then I teach third grade. So a lot of the responsibility is lying on parents. And I have parents that are still working, or parents that have multiple children, and parents that don't have access to internet or devices. So what I'm seeing is like a lot less engagement than in the actual classroom, which I expected. So a lot of what we're doing, actually all of what I'm doing, is just kind of review. We're not teaching anything new because I can't reach all students in this medium. So it was easy for me to do the transition because I was already doing those things. But as far as engagement, it's way down.
So, all right, that's actually an interesting point. It brings up a very interesting point. Would you say like a good portion of these people don't have full access to the things that they would need in a situation like this, specifically the internet or devices of which to use the internet on? Like, I don't want to say the numbers. Obviously, I don't want an exact number, but is that like a huge problem?
It's definitely a problem, because when you think about families that are coming from like 2, 3 or more children, a lot of them, they might have a device, but it's not a device specific that's really going to be a good device to use for some of the platforms that we use. Like Kindles are great, but you can't use a Kindle Fire for Zern. So you need an iPad, or you need a Chromebook or a laptop or what have you. And so I think that I don't know the numbers, but I teach in a Title I school, so I know that my numbers are going to be higher than in a school where, I'm in a more affluent situation, if that makes sense, like a more affluent district, which I'm not. I'm in a Title I school. That means like 2/3 of my kids are coming from homes where they live in poverty.
Okay, right. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And that's the thing I think a lot of people forget. I would say all of us in this conversation, if you will, have so much access to internet and devices that it's almost ridiculous. I mean, we can literally, every single room in my house has some sort of device that connects to the internet. It's weird to think of it that way, but yeah, a lot of people don't have that. And when we make steps and we send people home and tell them to do things from home, it is a lot harder. Not that I disagree with the situation, but we can't expect everybody to be on the same page.
Well, and you also have to consider, like, not necessarily my coworkers, but I'm in several teacher forums, like on Facebook and that kind of thing. And I have several teachers that have kind of talk to who either they don't have a home computer or they don't have a printer at home. And it's sort of assumed that, teachers are supposed to be middle class and they're going to have access to these things. But a lot of those things that we have access to are because of our jobs. Like, I'm actually doing this call with you guys from my work laptop, just because it's a laptop I use all the time. I have a home one, but I just prefer this one because I use it more frequently. But like, I have many, many people that I've spoken to that don't have a home laptop or they don't have a home computer. So it's not just students either. It's teachers too. Like, it's really just wild.
Well, and that touches on the important part too, is that, we were talking about that before we started. We can't really go around assuming that teachers are, high in the middle class and have access to all those things. Not only that, some people just don't like devices. It's there are people I know who refuse to have anything connected to the internet just because they don't trust it, which I think we could all say is probably pretty accurate not to sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a real issue. Like, I think that we tend to forget about those people that don't have access to stuff because we're all so used to having it.
Right. And then you also, not me, but there are people who are older or maybe people that aren't very tech savvy who are now having to go 100% online. And that's a big jump if you're not used to using those tools in that way.
Absolutely. My mom's like that. She just learned how to order groceries online from Walmart, and you'd swear that another spaceship landed on the moon or some shit. And I personally I agree that we should be teaching people more. People should have better access, but at the same time, it's very hard to teach somebody who's never done those kind of things how to do those kind of things. And that goes for all walks of life. But
So do you teach any sort of video chat like we're doing right now, or is it all just send them work and just kind of help them when you can?
Wait, repeat that. I'm sorry. 3-year-old problems.
So do you have a sort of video conferencing thing to where you can kind of teach properly, or is it just kind of you give them work and?
Yes. Actually, everyone in our district has a Blackboard site, and Blackboard has sort of a Zoom feature. We're not allowed to do Zoom. But everyone in our district has Blackboard, and so everyone, please play outside. Everyone has access to what's called Blackboard Collaborate, it's sort of the same concept as a Zoom call or Skype or whatever. And so I could definitely do Collaborate. The problem is that when you have so many students who aren't engaged, it's kind of I can't teach. I can technically teach 5 of my students, but then I have the other 15 who aren't getting the content. And so that kind of leaves, the other 3/4 of my class at a very big disadvantage.
Yeah. So, how do you feel about the potential that the school year as a whole is pretty much over at this point?
So I was telling this to a parent actually a week ago. I said, honestly, this couldn't have come at a better time in the school year, because truthfully, we had just finished the third 9 weeks. We're already into the fourth 9 weeks. The fourth 9 weeks, I don't think people realize how much of it is centered around testing. So my plan was I was going to do 2 more weeks of content. Then we had, I think, a week or 2 before spring break, and then spring break, a week, and then testing. So that's 4 weeks of kind of getting these kids ready to take this test, which I hate that it's that way. But whenever you have teachers whose, their effectiveness scores are based on a test, well, we're all going to kind of teach to the test. So, and then after testing, we had 3.5 weeks, or maybe, 3.5 weeks. So, and after testing, the kids are wild. They know this end of the school year is right there. So even if we were giving the all clear on May 1st, it's almost not even worth it to go back to school, because 2 weeks, we spend 2 weeks at the beginning of a school year on routines and procedures. So 2 weeks, then we have a week and a half. And then we're out for the summer. So if this had happened in October or January, it would have been a disaster, because there's so much that we're still teaching. Our kids have to learn. But by March, which is when we let out, middle of March, most of our kids have gotten most of those core standards. So I think it's going to be okay.
Okay. Well,
you think it's going to make it harder for people to come back? That's kind of what I think the biggest concern for me, just from the outside looking in. You just gave kids 5 months off. How hard do you think it's going to be to get them back in the swing of things?
There is definitely going to be a lot of catching up that we're going to do. And for those students who have done nothing for 5 months, there's definitely going to be some loss of learning. But whenever you come in, like every year we give our, so much of our first 2 weeks of school is centered around routines and procedures, team building, remembering how to do school, especially, with these younger kids. I teach third grade, maybe not so much with high school. I've never been in a high school environment, so I don't know that environment. But I know at an elementary level, like so much is centered around, this is how we act as a class. Like we are kind to each other. We're teaching them how to be people first and then students. And of course, like they get that, most of them get that at home, but you want that, you want a positive classroom environment. So I think once they're used to the expectations, it's going to be fine. Then we're going to do our beginning of the year benchmark testing. That's going to give us an idea of where they are. And if we see those gaps, then we're going to do what we need to do to close those gaps.
So there's already a plan in place. That's good. That's because that was something I was just thinking. I was like, I imagine that, most individual teachers have an idea of how things are going to work out, because 5 months or 3 months, to some degree, it's the same coming back from summer every year. This is just a little bit longer. And that, as a parent, and I'm not a parent of a kid in school, but that would be a concern for me if I were. Thank God my kid has my genes and he's a genius. But if he weren't, then, that would be like a thing.
I appreciate your humility. You're like, I'm a genius.
No, I am. It's just what it is.
So I also have a child in school. She's in 4th grade. And I can tell you as a parent, like, I'm probably not as hard on her as some parents are on their kids. But I also know that she's not ever going to be one who's going to have trouble with school. Now, the thing is, people think, there's going to be so many gaps in learning. But every year we have kids that are coming into our classrooms who were 1, 2, 3 grade levels behind. And we're expected to still teach them on the grade level that we're in while closing the gaps that they have. So if we're doing that with more than 1 student or more than 2 students, we're already doing that. So that's okay.
Well, it actually may make it easier because everybody's going to be behind. You're actually working with everyone and not having to single one person out or work extra hard on one. You're still going to have to do that with some, obviously, but you can you have a starting point with everyone. Everybody's got 5 months of nothing,
Exactly.
That'll be a big thing. So
in Calcasieu, that's where I teach. We use Eureka Math, and I know that's the math curriculum across many of the parishes in southern Louisiana. I'm sure in northern Louisiana too, but my schema is more South Louisiana. That's where I'm from. But the thing, like with Eureka, they actually have, like, if your kids have gaps here, go back to this lesson in the grade level before. So we have the resources to be able to do those things effectively. So it's okay. And as far as like reading, because at the elementary level, our focus is reading and math. Like right. We do teach science and social studies, but we have 30 minutes a day for that versus we have like 4 hours of science of math and reading every day. So, and with reading, the standards repeat and they build like per grade level. But by the time we get to March, like our kids should know how we identify theme. Our kids should know how to find the main idea and find supporting details. So if we didn't get through the whole reading curriculum that we have, they've already learned those skills and they should be able to implement them across many genres of text because they've seen those texts. Like we've done fiction, we've done nonfiction, we've done poetry, like they've seen it all. And so if they're not getting that extra oomph at the end of the year, it's okay.
You're really just progressing them forward by using those ideas. You're not really introducing new ideas.
Exactly.
Which I don't mean, that kind of sounded like I was being snarky. I'm not. That's how people learn things. They have to practice things. Unless you're me and you're a genius, but again, that's a different subject.
I totally understand. Like my brain is giant.
Right. So. Right. I mean, yeah, look, it really is hard. That's funny. What's up, Derek?
Nothing. You're just being so just humble right now about your.
Look, always, man, always. I know.
There is no one more humble than Aaron. Okay.
You are totally right. I am so humble because if I was really to sit here and explain to you exactly how smart I am, your head would probably explode.
He's literally the most humble person you will ever meet.
I appreciate that.
He's so humble.
That's really funny. But I'm actually not humble. I'm just I'm the comic relief on this podcast. If I'm not here, everybody gets really they're like, oh, this isn't funny anymore. So really, again, I'm not being humble. I'm hilarious. I'm a comedian. I'm the smartest comedy guy ever, or some shit like that.
Again,
so Calcasieu Parish. Where is that? I have no idea.
Oh, that is on. It's Lake Charles. So right there.
Oh,
man,
I was just okay. Oh, I am so sorry. I went to Lake Charles the other day, and my brother.
And even worse. I live in Sulphur, so.
Yeah, it's like, and I'm not gonna make you I'm not gonna disparage anybody. We have to try, obviously, but some places are just, some areas of some places are just, it's just so bad,
I mean, it could be worse. I could still be in St. Mary, so there's that.
And you can kiss my ass. But you're right. It could be worse. You could still be in St. Mary. You see, I live here, but I work in Lafourche, so which really isn't that much better. I don't even know what parish would be. I don't even know what parish would be better than I don't. I'm gonna just start saying I'm from St. Tammany, which that's not good either. I don't know. But yeah, so are you still getting, now you mentioned the being able to contact the students, and are you being contacted by parents a lot to try and help with things? Are the parents still involved? I mean, what about that?
So what I'm doing is every Sunday I made up a password sheet for each student with corresponding, like, these are the websites you can use for math, these are their passwords. I did the same thing for reading, the same thing for science and social studies, and then kind of a lagniappe, like, this is just extra stuff you can do if y'all are bored. So I sent that to each parent for each of my kids, and then every Sunday I email them a schedule, like like Monday, and then like something they can do with each subject. And I reiterate, I'm like, hey, this is just a rough guide. Like, don't think you have to adhere to this. It's just, all of this is extra. So, but all of my contact has been with parents.
Right. Well, I don't mean to be, I think it would be kind of strange if you had a kid calling you on whatever service you use early in the morning, being like, hey, what's up? I was wondering how to do, like, I would imagine it'd be harder for a third grader specifically.
Yeah.
But so the parents are being engaged though. I mean, because that's another concern. Like, I really hope I know it's hard in times like these, but our kids' education is so important. It really is. I mean, it's the most important thing.
It definitely is. And so I'm kind of getting the same engagement I would get during the school year. Like, those parents who are helping their kids with homework and helping their kids, the parents I'm hearing from during the school year are the same parents I'm hearing from right now.
So it's the same. It's really this, which is, I mean, that's all you can expect. The same amount of interaction, if not a little bit more, from those parents based on the situation. Because, like, as I can tell you this, I have nephews and I have a godson. They're all in school. And I'll be honest with you, the stuff they're doing now, even as a genius, I have a hard time with it. So it's good that there are teachers, because I'm sure there are some teachers out there who are not as involved, who don't want to really pay as much mind to it. It's good to see that there are teachers out there that really, they welcome the conversation, and they're making up extra work, even though the kids may not even be doing it. But that's not why we do things. We do things because for the ones that want to do it, for the ones that want to be better.
Exactly.
And that's the purpose of it.
And I've had parents who are like, look, he's having a really hard time with the whole electronics. Is there any way that you can make up a packet? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I have a printer at home. I have HPS and ink. So I get X amount of pages per month to print on. So I make up a packet, and I live in the same neighborhood as like 2/3 of my kids. So a lot of times I can just go walk down the road, stick it in their mailbox, and walk back to my house. So, and I've done that, I think, 5 different kids so far. So
that's good. Yeah, it's very good. It's very good. Because look, again, there are teachers out there, and you know this as well as I do. They just don't have that same level of care and affection towards their students. It's a job to them. Clearly, it's a lifestyle and a choice for you, which is. I mean, I commend you, because I couldn't do it. I'd be punching kids in the face. I don't have patience for children. I really don't.
Sometimes,
like, I like my kid.
Real, let me tell you. Like, it's
right.
Children, I'm like, you need to get out of my face, or I'm going to kick you.
And and that's what's weird is that and again, we're talking now. This isn't really the topic of the episode, but yeah, that's why teachers need to make more money, because look, it takes a very special person to go to college for all those years and to say, you know what, I'm going to limit my income to basically barely livable so I can teach your children how to go and make more money than I'll ever make. And it's
thank God for my husband's job. Like, he supports my teaching habit. Like, straight up.
That's an interesting way to put it. Huh?
Yeah.
That's, it's better than him supporting a heroin habit. So I guess that's a good thing.
That's what I keep trying to tell him. So could always be worse.
What does your husband do? Let's go there. I want to know, like, what does he have to do to support your teaching habit? What is his job?
He doesn't have to do this. He's a surveyor. He works industrial, so he does surveying within the plants. He's working.
Okay.
Now.
Good. Okay. Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, that is a good run, and it allows you to have your addiction, which is apparently helping children. Which, as far as addiction goes, isn't necessarily that bad.
Yeah, it could definitely be worse.
Oh yeah, trust me. As a police officer, I can tell you, it can definitely be worse. It can definitely be worse.
My brother's in and out of trouble with the police. Like, I see it all the time.
Who's your brother? Wait a minute. Who's your brother?
Joey Acosta.
Oh, I know Joey.
That's my brother.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wouldn't tell people that.
I don't typically.
Family's family. Look, I got all my family is terrible people. So let me ask you: Is this virus? This coronavirus? Is it allowing you to catch up on anything as far as being? I know it's so. You guys are always so. People think teachers work 5 days a week, and I know that, and you know that's a lie. You guys are 7 days.
Oh my God! They're like, oh, you're so lucky you get off work at 3:00, and I'm like, get out of my face. Actually, yes. So much of my summer is spent like just getting stuff ready for the next school year, and honestly, like by about the beginning of May, I'm like making plans for next year. I'm like, this is what I did this year that was good. This is what I did this year that was bad. This is how I want to do those things next year. So I'm already starting to kind of get those plans in place. We have a print shop here. So if we want things printed, so we don't have to make so many copies, we start sending those things off. So I've already I've been like saving things on Teachers Pay Teachers or on Pinterest to get things ready for next year. And I'm kind of at this weird place where I'm not sure if I'm going to be in the same grade level next year. So I'm like, I want to be making things, like making like task cards and, making resources and printing resources and starting to cut things. Because people don't realize how much of my time is spent with a pair of scissors cutting out laminated crap. In July. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten my husband involved with my shenanigans that he's probably like, I'm so tired of you.
And that's what love is. That's why we get married right there.
100%. But like, actually, like this past week, I spent a lot of time like thinking about, okay, this is how I'm going to do my routines and procedures for next year. Because like there are some things that no matter what grade I teach, they're going to be, they're going to be relevant. Like I was taught, introducing accountable talk next year. Like instead of doing it have done in the past, I was in a webinar this week with someone from our tech center that said that she used a Padlet and that's how she did it. And I was like, I really like that. So I actually the other night I was kind of just sitting there making a Padlet because I was like, what else do I have to do while I watch Parks and Rec for the 45th time?
Hey, I have that same problem. I cannot stop watching that damn show. I'm laying in bed every night. And it's Parks and Rec or The Office. Those two shows. I don't know what it is about those shows, but
and I laugh till I cry every time I watch it. Like, oh man, I watched the episode where Chris Prater and Traeger and leave, and like the episodes leading up to that, I was like laughing so hard. And Aubrey's like, "What's so funny? I don't get it."
Well, that's what's so, because see, when it came out, and look, I'm a young fellow. I remember when it came out, I was young and stupid still. Like, basically until you hit like 20, I don't know, 1 through 25, you're basically an idiot all the way up to that point.
Oh, 100%.
Right. And then you watch something that has some sort of like, you watch stuff that people that think is funny and you have no experiences, so you don't get it. But then the second you actually have to like pay your first bill, all of a sudden everything's funny. I don't know.
Oh, it's
you finally get it.
Like,
yeah, you finally understand it.
I didn't feel like a grown up until I graduated college, and I had jobs, like I dealt cards through college, and I actually probably made more money dealing cards than teaching. But
I remember that you worked crazy hours. I remember seeing your Facebook post about that, and I was like, that is insane. I could not work in a casino. I would shoot everybody. I couldn't. Then I became a cop, so apparently I could probably work in a casino. I don't know. It's just funny how things play out is my point.
If you can be a cop, you can work in a casino. But so like I dealt cards through college, and that's so I made similar money. So I was already used to having that sort of bankroll, which teaching bankroll is nothing, but before I dealt cards, I worked at Rouse's. So like, there's your perspective. I made like $200 a week.
Yeah, that was one of my first jobs as well, working at Rouse's. And yeah, you're right. That is a very interesting perspective to have on that subject.
When you go from making minimum wage to making like, I don't know, my average working in the casino is probably $20 an hour. So when you go from, $8.50 to $20, like that's a big jump. So yes. When I graduated, I already had that experience of making this amount of money, but there was something so different whenever like I had a home and now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, why do I have to pay property taxes? And
right, exactly. That's what I've been saying for years.
So you go from, I have my cell phone, I have my car note, I have my car insurance, to having all of those things, and then a mortgage, property taxes. Oh, and I have all these utilities too. This is spicy bullshit. I do appreciate.
Yes. No, I mean, and add kids to the mix, which don't get me wrong. I mean, we obviously love our children a lot more than anything.
But they're expensive.
Yes. They want ridiculous stuff all the time.
Like Aubrey wants to do tech camp this summer. That's like $500.
It's insane. I know it really is. And it's, but then somehow we figure it out and we keep moving on. But, but that's it. That's where it would be hard for me because, I love my kid to death, but I don't like anybody else's kids for the most part. And I would have a very hard time. And I say that, I mean, I would never hurt a child, but I would have a very hard time having to treat other kids with the same amount of like affection that I have to treat my kid with because, they have to learn.
Wait, guys, oh crap.
All right, so we're back because Derek apparently, I don't know, he's out here trying to mess everything up. He hates us. That's what it is.
No, we're using internet, and internet does not like me.
He was like, oh man, we got a cop and a teacher in here. I hate both of those professions. That's what he said. I heard him.
I heard it. That's why he stopped the recording. He didn't want that picked up.
Yeah, he didn't want cops and teachers. Nah, man. We don't like public amenities in here.
Yes, let me record for 25 minutes. All of a sudden, just like cut it off. That's too much.
We want to privatize teachers and police officers. How do you feel about that, Kayla? That's interesting. How do you feel about like people that want to? And I don't want to get like too political here, because I can tell you that I already like knowing you. I know that we have a lot of differences there, but I can tell you I think we'll agree on this one. How do you feel about people think that we need to privatize all schools?
Oh.
I know, right? They're so stupid. It's insane.
So the thing is, like, what we need people who are teachers making the decisions
for teachers, right?
We need people who are still actively in the classroom or still actively like working with children to be making these decisions for children. Right. And we need people who are still teachers acting in the best interest of teachers. Like that's the big problem, is that we're having these people who have a degree in education but never taught a day in their life, or they taught at the university level, or essentially like they've never been in a K-12 classroom, and they're making these decisions. And it's a huge problem.
Yeah, it's a very big. Well, and that's every single field you have. Look, even in, and I don't want to get on the tangent too hard, but even in the medical field, you have people that make decisions for insurance that aren't doctors, or aren't doctors in the field that they're making decisions for.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it is insane. Like it's insane. But in the sense of the teacher thing, I never understood that. I don't know why anybody would want to. First of all,
now we're kind of at this point where we're having less and less people who want to be teachers, and now we're having teacher shortages. And so teachers aren't leaving the classroom to go do the bureaucratic crap that needs to be done to manage K-12 education. I feel really, really fortunate that Eldo, the president of the Bessie board, Miss Sandy Holloway, who is from Thibodeau, she actually was a teacher. So I feel really fortunate that someone is on that board and actually was an educator at some point. But like, there's so many who aren't and haven't been. And so, and then the people who were on the board were paid for by, they were sponsored by testing companies, or they were testing, they're paid for by these different things that maybe they aren't necessarily acting in the best interest of educators. Because at the end of the day, I think that your educators are acting in the best interest of students. Now, you're going to see a few who, I'm just here for a paycheck. But let's be real. No one is working that hard to make less than $3,000 a month.
Oh God, no. And I made that comment earlier. But I definitely don't think. No, I don't think. I also think that the longer you do it, and in the direction that it's going, it's also easy for people who came into this, who are on their last, let's say, 5 years, and they have a whole different attitude about it because it's like nobody really has our back. At some point, there's only so much shit you can take as a person before you decide I'm not doing this, or I don't want to do this anymore. And I think that's where some people are at. But yeah, look, I don't. Yeah, anybody who works like that, because again, you're not talking about 40 hours a week. You guys are working. I don't know what your average work week would be, but like you said, you're sitting down in front of your TV and you're doing stuff for school. All those things count. All that counts as hours worked. It's not just because you're at home doesn't mean it's not. And I get that. I take work home with me all the time. It's not like I'm at home doing what I want to be doing. I'm at home doing something that's for the betterment of whoever I'm doing it for, or for the job itself.
Right. And when I don't think a lot of people even realize, and I'm sure you do, but like even like my work day, like there's so many days that I don't go pee until 3:00 or after 3:00 because I just didn't have time. Like,
yeah.
I have a working lunch. I eat lunch with my children who they need me to open ketchup packets. They need me to get them napkins. They drop the fork, like those kinds of things. I'm having to kind of redirect because I'm like, why are you throwing corn at your classmates? So, and then the crazy thing is like, we have 25 minutes. So we have 25 minutes to eat lunch, but also 25 minutes of managing 20 children. And then we have a 45-minute planning period. So by the time you drop kids off and pick them up, it's cut down to 40. So I have 40 minutes to grade papers, make copies, make lesson plans.
Oh, son of a bitch. Ah, God damn it.
As I was saying before Derek blocked us out again, and I don't remember what I was saying. So I was making the point that you guys don't get paid for your bus duties and things like that. People think that you do, and there's some sort of overtime that doesn't exist. You guys are like salaried, contracted employees. You don't have any of those. Even me, when I work over, I get overtime. You guys aren't so lucky, and that's not fair. It's not right. Because you're forced to do these things. It's not an option. It's not like, hey, you can do bus duty. It's like, no, get your ass out there and do bus duty. It's not fair.
Yeah, because if we don't, then we're gonna have children like fighting and acting like general heathens because children unattended, like that's what they do. They're like, what thing can I do that will piss the people off around me? And then it's a whole thing.
Right. Well, and even kids in high school, even college kids left unattended do some dumb shit. They just do. It's again, well, barely. Apparently, you're not an adult until like, I'm going to say 25. I'm going to say 25 is where
You're an adult when you have your first career job, is what I feel like. Like, it's not necessarily career, but like your first time that you're like, oh, like this money is for bills and not just to go do whatever I want. Because let me tell you, when I had $200 when I was 17, I was bawling. When I have $200 in my bank account now, I'm like,
I'm afraid. I'm afraid when I have $200 because I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna make this work.
Oh, me too. I'm like, oh man, what other bills are coming out of here?
Right. That, and then it's right because something's coming up, and it's never not anything coming up. Like anytime you don't have any money, it's like, oh, by the way, you owe everybody money right now. And you're like, why? Because you ain't got none.
Yeah, and then your $13.99 Netflix bill is coming out, and you're like, shit, man. Shit.
Start trying to find a way because you got to pay that Netflix, dog. I mean, you can't make it without Netflix. For me, it's Amazon Prime.
Especially
but yeah.
right now, like, Amazon, Hulu, and Netflix all come out at the same time. Like they all came out Friday for me. Luckily, I had more than $200 in the bank. FYI.
That's good. I was worried. I was gonna start a GoFundMe.
Well, you don't have to worry now in a month, but let's talk.
Oh man, yeah. What is this? Well, we were talking about how this coronavirus affected schools, and now we're talking about Netflix. That's the interesting thing about this podcast is that we'll always start with a topic, and then all of a sudden Netflix gets involved.
Netflix is involved because, like, how would we survive this without Netflix? I don't have cable, so the only way I'm surviving is Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, occasionally Amazon Prime, but I don't care for the shows on there.
I like some of them. I like some of them, but I also have my HBO through Amazon Prime, so that's really why I like Amazon Prime. But no, yeah, that's it's always like this, right there. We always do this, don't we?
Yeah, yeah, it always comes back to Star Wars and stuff like that. So
We can never stay on any one topic. So let's go back to the actual topic because coronavirus is very serious and the shutdown is very serious
well,
for the most part.
Well, why don't we get to like the mom aspect of all this? Because you are a mom. So
as a mom. Oh, you mean Katelyn? Yeah, go ahead.
So Katelyn.
There's like as a mother.
Right, yeah.
So as a mom, how are your kids not only handling the school aspect, but also just the coronavirus in general?
Well, so I only have one child in school, but she's in 4th grade. So she's on the cusp of middle school where she's kind of less about her family and more about like her friends and being social. And so she's, the first week or so, like she struggled. Like she was like, I miss school. I miss my friends. I miss seeing my teachers. Her teachers are awesome. Like she's at the STEM, there's a STEM academy here and like that's where she is. And it's awesome. Her teachers are awesome. And she's in a class where her classmates are awesome too. Like they're all super smart. They're all super well behaved, which was a big proponent of her getting into that program whenever it came available. So she's missing her friends, but she's been doing okay because, luckily for her mom came home with all of her school iPads. And so she has no lack of abundance of technology at home. So she's been able to FaceTime and message and do all the different things with her classmates or, her friends, because a lot of her friends, I'm friends with their parents. And so Facebook has a Messenger Kids thing. And so she's messaging with all her little friends. And so she's doing okay. But she is kind of like, she wants to see her friends in person. And then, and she definitely misses her teachers, but her teachers, like I said, are awesome. So they're doing like once or twice a week, Blackboard Collaborate meetings. So she's still getting to see them, even if she can't see them in person. She's going crazy because her sister is 3 and she's annoying. That she's really, like she's 3, she's constantly up her older sister's butt, but then she's also like, I don't like you. The little one. She tells it to the big one. Like, so honestly, a lot of days it's like I'm just fighting to get to 8 p.m. so I can put the 3-year-old to bed, and that's it.
Enjoy the peace for just a couple hours. That's what we live for. We live for the peace.
Yes, that mom time where I can eat the good snacks.
Right. Yeah, because you can look. Hey, and Derek, you don't know this yet, but every parent has hidden snacks. All right, and those are the good snacks. And you'd be scared because every now and again your kid wakes up in the middle of the night, you munching down, and you see him, you gotta hide that shit. They're crying about a nightmare. You trying to hide snacks. I get it, man. I've been there.
I wasn't eating a fudge round.
Right. Yes,
So-
that's fudge rounds. That's the ones too. For me, it's like fudge rounds and Star Crunches.
Yeah, no, I have the freedom to just kind of eat whatever, whenever. So if I want to snack at 1 o'clock in the morning, I can go for it. But if I want,
you see, Derek, that's the thing I miss the most.
I mean, the only thing I have to take care of is my cat, and my cat just kind of does whatever. So,
dude, the only people that own cats are women and supervillains. Which one are you, Derek?
clearly, well, of those 2 options, clearly a supervillain, but
yeah, I don't think so.
I was going for a woman, but okay.
I'm more of a Doofenshmirtz, if we're gonna be honest.
A Doofenshmirtz. Hey, look, I'm gonna say this. Disney Plus, one of my favorite shows on Disney Plus is in fact Phineas and Ferb. Everybody says great show. And that's what's good about Disney Plus. I can go back and watch those old shows, and I can use nostalgia as a way to make it seem like it's not weird that I'm 26 years old drinking beer and watching shows like Phineas and Ferb.
Well,
The best is when you have a 4th grader who is like, she's in a Lizzie McGuire right now. She's been watching.
Oh man, that's awesome.
On the other night, I felt like I was 12 again. It was the best.
Yeah, and see, with a kid, you have a reason.
Is it 2002 again?
Yeah, you have a reason. It's so awesome because I can just put it on. Oh no, he's watching. But really, I'm enjoying it more than he is, and that's the best part of having a child. You can take advantage of all those things you enjoyed as a kid all over again.
For sure.
Well, it actually is okay to drink beer watching Phineas and Ferb, though, because the guy who created the theme song was actually the guy from Bowling for Soup, and Bowling for Soup, half their catalog is about drinking beer, so it's fine.
Well, then that counts. See, then we can drink beer. Of course, What about using illicit narcotics? Is that okay?
No, drugs are not okay. Beer is okay in.
As an officer of the law, Mr. Fetty, I would probably not recommend illicit narcotics.
You're right. And by illicit narcotics, I mean real drugs. I don't mean like a plant. You know what I'm saying? Like if we're talking about real drugs, we're talking about like heroin, and I agree, heroin's wrong. But if we're talking about like a plant, specifically like, I don't know, marijuana, for instance, let's be honest here. That's not a drug. You have to do things to a drug. You have to make it in a lab or some shit.
Like,
nobody's
I'm all for legalizing marijuana. Like, let's just be real. Like, if I can drink a beer, you can smoke your joint. I don't care.
Right, or do both, because I wouldn't know. I never smoked marijuana in my life, but if I would have done that ever, and I haven't, why are you coughing, Derek? You smoking marijuana?
No.
What is all that smoke on your screen, Derek?
That would be hilarious. Derek's just out here hitting the bong. What's up, guys?
He's trying to play it off like it's a fog machine.
It's like Derek, they can't see us. It's an audio podcast. Oh yeah, let me turn the fog machine off real quick.
Yeah, man. It's just I've been so depressed from not seeing friends and stuff. Just I had to do something.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I mean, you could just say I wanted to smoke weed, and I'd be like, all right, dude, cool, whatever. Oh man. Now, are you missing work at all, Katelyn? Are you like yearning to go back to school and mold young minds?
I'm gonna be honest. At this point, no. Like this time of the year is hard. Like testing time is hard. The only thing that I wish I'd gotten a chance to say bye, and knowing like the day, like, because I was actually out of school on the Friday that the governor canceled school until March 13th, and then or April 13th, and then recanted that. Now it's April 30th. I wasn't there on that Friday. Like I was sick, and then I lost my voice. And so I stayed home that day because I was like, I can't even talk. So I'm going to just, whatever, I'll be fine. So I wasn't even there. So the hard thing was like not getting to say bye, but like the fact that I don't have to go through testing and I'm missing all like the spring fever. I don't miss that.
So is there now, you mentioned testing. That's an interesting point. You said your daughter's in fourth grade, correct?
Yeah.
Is that they still? I don't know because I'm not in the loop anymore on that. They still do leap testing in fourth grade.
So all testing is called leap testing now.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Good. And last year I actually taught fourth grade, and it was not high stakes. That's like when we were in school, it was pass fail. If you didn't make whatever score, you had to go to summer school and retake it. It was not high stakes. So if our kids didn't make a basic or above, they still were passed on in fifth grade. But I believe this year, fourth grade and eighth grade were high stakes, meaning that they had to be passed or they had to retake the test.
So what are they going to do in order to, because let's be honest here, I don't think you guys are going back to school. I'm pretty sure what's going to happen. Now, this is just me. I'm speculating. I think this stay-at-home order is going to probably go through May. And then it'll open up in June is what I'm thinking. Because it seems like it is working to some degree. It is curbing things, but why, we need to make sure that everything is back to a point where the medical field can deal with it again, because that's what's going to happen. When you allow people to go back.
Overloaded. Like that was the whole point of this was
right.
We didn't want our medical system so overloaded that people were dying in waiting rooms. Now we knew there would be some death because that happens with any sickness. Especially when you're talking like respiratory illnesses. Right. But, anyways. What? Oh, so about pass, fail, that kind of thing. Right. So the thing is, kids need 4 quality points in their core subjects in order to pass. In third grade, they need 4 quality points in math and in reading. In fourth and fifth grade, they need 4 quality points in math, reading, and then science or social studies. The quality points just means that A, B, C, or D. So A is 4 points, a B is 3 points, et cetera, et cetera. So you add up all the quality points for each 9 weeks, and that's your total amount of quality points. So essentially, a kid can make D, 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 and then if they have all Ds, they're passed. Okay. But what we do is, if in December whenever we're out of the second 9 weeks, if they don't have those 4 quality points, we have to send home a possibility of failure letter. I don't remember the name of the letter, but we send that home if the kids don't have 4 quality points. And the thing is, like, if a kid doesn't have 4 quality points, chances are, especially at upper elementary, they've already been retained in either kindergarten or first grade. And once they've been retained once, we can't retain them again. And so even if they have straight Fs, they're not held back, because the likelihood of a student dropping out of high school is much higher when they've been retained more than one time. So, and if we retain them twice in elementary school, they're graduating high school at 20. Like, who wants to be graduating high school at 20 years old? So, I think all of my students but one had their quality points. So they're going to be passed regardless. Like, the LEAP test is more of a formality type thing.
Right. So you think they're just going to, as long as they got their quality points, send them on, and you think they're going to make them retake that, or what's the, because I remember there were certain, I think there were other situations where it got pushed off and they ended up making people, take it the next year or whatever.
Oh, like LEAP testing is suspended. I don't think that.
Oh, so it is officially suspended. Okay.
Yeah,
which is totally.
The waivers were granted by the president. So the Department of Education, which is Betsy Dickles or whatever. But no, it's suspended. Like, we're not having to do that.
Okay, good. Then that's good, because that's a whole nother issue, because it's like, you're really going to make these kids suffer because we had to do these. Look, they're sending out stimulus checks, for Christ's sakes. Why should we make kids suffer when we're helping everybody else? And that's, it's one test, and let's be honest, standardized testing is really kind of funky of an idea, at least in my opinion. I don't think it really shows really even knowledge retention. It's more like, hey, can you hold on to this just long enough to pass this test? Right.
Exactly.
Right. And look, there's plenty of people. I've always been good at standardized tests, but there's plenty of people that are not, in fact, good at standardized tests.
Well, I'm thinking, even when I was a kid, like, I always made like advanced across the board. But every year at testing time, I would get so sick. Like, I would literally come to school like feeling like death, but it was because I was so stressed out about this test. Every single year through high school, I always got a cold right before the test, and I always felt so bad.
Right, well, it's completely stress and nerves. And
and I was not a student who was academically deficient.
Right.
So,
you're forcing kids to, let's be honest. You're forcing kids into such a stressful state that, it's a state that if an adult was in, you'd force feed them Xanax. So why are we, why are we forcing kids to exist in that way? I don't know anybody who can make a solid argument as to why we do these things, and why that's some sort of way to determine how smart somebody is. Because I know plenty of people who don't seem very smart on a book, but they can do things with their hands, or they can, make things work in a way that nobody else can. We have to quit pretending like smart only exists in words. It's just not the case.
Or smart exists in performance, because there are plenty of people who are book smart, but they get so hyped up about these exams. Like, even I know people who were in school for teacher ed who couldn't get into the program because they couldn't pass a praxis. And it was like they had missed one part of it, like they missed the math or they missed the writing, or so they were constantly like retesting on this one subject.
And it's, and it's ridiculous, because it's again, a lot of it is just nerves but you can't, look, I have those problems. I know what it's like to have nerve problems. I have them. And so you can't just expect people to be like, I'll get over it. Like, nah, especially kids. Kids can't handle that. Like, that's, it makes you wonder if that's not where a lot of people's problems come from. I mean, from such a young age, we're telling them, hey, you either pass this or you're stupid. Because even if you're not saying that, that's what you're doing. Like, that's what they think that is.
Yeah, because and then by fourth grade, we're using those LEAP test scores from the year before to determine at the beginning of the year RTI placements. RTI is an intervention thing that we do. So they know when they're in a specific intervention group, they know why they can't go to the STEM lab, because they're having to do reading intervention, or they're having to do writing intervention, or what have you. So they know. And so from fourth grade, kids are 9 years old when they go into fourth grade. So from 9 years old on, if they're not performing on that test, they're being held, well,
and there's a huge segment of their friends, their colleagues, if you will, to use a big word, who will make fun of them for that, right? I mean, that's a thing. Like, and I remember being in school and being on both sides of that. Like, kids are ruthless, man. They really are, and it's kind of scary. like the stuff kids say to each other, and like now I think of some of that. I'm like, man, ask Derek. I was so mean to that guy, and I feel bad about it because like, man, I can't believe I was such a dick, you know. And
Derek, his nickname was literally Icky.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's you guys' fault. I never called him that, but that's all on you guys. I was just really mean to him.
That wasn't Katelyn either. That was Gabby and Steve.
Gabby who?
I was about to say it wasn't Steve. So like I wasn't in high school with you, Derek, but I was still good friends with Steve. And
so you're talking about Steve Champagne?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my nephew.
For real?
Yes. The man who raised me, my stepfather is his grandfather.
Okay.
Yeah. So not by blood, but I mean I grew up with.
Still.
Yeah. That guy's hilarious. He really is. Yeah, interesting fellow.
But point
I haven't seen him in a long time. What was the point, Derek? Where were we going? I forgot.
The point is, like, there was this like nickname called Icky made for me, and luckily Zach was able to like get Derek going, so it kind of like got Icky to go away, except for people like Katelyn or
except for assholes like no.
I mean,
it's been good fun. Like, I'm joking and I'm not meaning it mean.
Well, no, obviously, yeah, no, I don't think anybody's, and that's the thing there, but at the same time, and look, most people, they are joking, but you don't realize what that does to, look, every kid's going to act like they're fine with it, because they don't want to be considered, like they don't want to be made fun of even more for taking it to heart. So it's kind of, and look, there's a point where that, to me, that's no longer an excuse. I mean, when you become an adult, obviously you have to take some more things on the chin. Don't get me wrong, because life's not going to be so easy on you. That I can promise you. But as a child, though, is you don't realize what you're doing. Kids don't realize how hard that is to be mocked, all the time about being dumb, being stupid because you couldn't pass one test when the rest of the year you did fine. You kept up with everyone, if not did better. Right. It doesn't matter because they're all in 5th grade now, and you're sitting in 4th grade, or whatever grade it might be. And it's truly demoralizing, and that's something that kids, they're just not made to deal with those things. They're not old enough to understand that it doesn't really matter what those people said. You know your worth, this, that. But when you take that at a young age, it sort of exists when you're older too, and people will have those kind of issues because of those situations. And that's why I think Derek's the way he is.
I mean, to be fair, I've been made fun of literally since I was like 5 years old, so.
No, Derek is always taking it on the chin, but still, you don't want to do that. I know as a parent, I would punch a child in the face for making fun of my kid.
Same.
I will fight a child. I don't care. I have a taser. I'll use it.
I don't care if you're 9 years old.
But hey, you want to talk shit? Let's throw hands. See what happens. Oh man. Hey Derek, what are we looking at? What's our time looking like, man?
We're at 53 minutes right now.
53 minutes. You got anything left, Derek? You got any other questions you want to ask before we?
I mean, we hit all the points on my notes, so.
I didn't see. That's the thing, dude. You take all these notes and you get ready. I put on these headphones. You can't see me. I put on these headphones. I'm half naked. I'm drinking beer, and I'm doing some work. And
covered in Cheeto dust because he has no self-respect.
No, I have no self-respect. Look, my face is, if you ever seen Scarface, he's covered in the white powder at the end of the movie. It's all like cocaine. Mine is Cheeto dust. It's everywhere. I'm like Tony Montana, but really I'm like the Cheeto guy.
Weird, but if he did, they'd be full of Cheeto dust.
I don't have a beard anymore. I used to, but yeah, they won't let me grow up. I have a mustache right now because I'm trying to look creepy. I figure, trying to get that going and see what happens. But look, Katelyn, we really appreciate your time. I know that, again, you're a teacher. I know that it's valuable because I'm sure that even not being in school, I'm sure you're constantly checking emails and answering questions about stuff and probably answering the same question over and over again because kids are assholes and they do that. They ask the same question over and over again. They don't
listen.
It's
all good. And it's really fun when they do that and, like the directions are on the board. I'm like, it's right there. If you just read it, you'd see it. But like I give my personal cell phone number. I'm like, if you need anything, just call. I don't care. Like I'm not doing anything. I'm at my house. If you need someone to come by, I'll put in the mailbox.
I see. I pay for while we're on the subject, I pay for an app called Second Line. It's like $2.99 a month, and I have a whole cell phone number for texts and calls strictly for work. So that way I don't have to use mine. Because the thing about being a cop is when you give people your number, they send you some weird stuff. So you, I would rather not deal with that on a personal number. But yeah, as a teacher, I could see how that would be a thing. And I'm sure your phone's blowing up all the time, and that would be. So I know your time is valuable. We definitely appreciate that.
No problem. Happy to help.
Yes, we have some answers now. I finally know where Derek's nickname came from. That's about all I know, but I figured something out. That's important.
Wait, you don't know the origin of Icky, really?
No, I probably did, but like most things that we that you say, I just kind of forget about it. I got way too much going on. But all right, yeah, man. Let's wrap it up, man, because we got a bunch of other stuff to do as far as me and you having conversations. So let's do it.
Yeah. So Katelyn, check her out at school. She does things over there.
Check her out at school. Everybody add me on Xbox, Rona 2020. That's Rona 2020. Shout out to coronavirus. I'm not kidding. That's my Xbox Live name. So yeah, go ahead, Derek.
Aaron, he does music, but they're kind of on a temporary hiatus because of coronavirus. But I'm sure they got some new music coming in the woodworks eventually. For me, I got some short stories on Amazon, so check those out. Released a new song recently. Check that out too. I'm doing a lot of things, so just make sure you check out the podcast. We're everywhere, and yeah, that's
like that Michelle Branch song. We're everywhere. Michelle Branch, Derek.
No. I was having a Pitbull moment, Mr. Worldwide.
That too, yeah. That's a little weird that I had the Michelle Branch moment and you had the Pitbull moment, but that's fine. I mean, we're that's interesting, I guess. Kind of weird. I kind of feel weird about it now, but all right, yeah. So anyway, all right, Derek. Yeah, man. Katelyn, again, it was nice talking to you, nice catching up. It's been years since we had a conversation.
For real.
I mean, last time we were talking shit on a confession page. So
good times. #
yes.
Nike shorts.
Yes, I wish it would come back. I wish we could. Yes, # Nike shorts. I wish those would come back. Now things are weird. All right, let's. No, just kidding. But yeah, again, appreciate it. Derek, you good, man?
Yeah, we're good.
All right.
All right. So yeah, we'll see you all next week. Bye.
Later.